Welcome in, men. This is episode 4 of my 6-part mini-series on becoming a better man. Today's episode is entitled Becoming You, the man beneath the mask. And the theme of today's episode is going to be all around purpose, values, and identity integration. So we're going a little bit deeper today, and it's absolutely important that you get your head around this aspect of your journey towards masculinity. It's all very well with the overt metrics of success and masculinity and all the other aspects that we've spoken about so far. But fundamentally, it's about bringing it all together and becoming who you are. Most men build their lives around validation and not vocation, chasing women, money, status instead of alignment. So I want to talk about 3 things in this episode. 1, how to identify the false self you've been performing as. 2, why purpose isn't found, it's forged through consistency and solitude. And finally 3, the inner calm that comes when your actions match your values. And I'll also add to that when your words align with your actions is a key part of masculinity and masculine frame. So without further ado, let's jump straight in right now. Becoming you as a man is a journey. It is the hero's journey, ultimately. The reason the arc of the hero's journey is so profound, particularly for men, is that it maps out the life of a man that was a boy becoming a man. The ultimate transition in life for men is the transition between boy to man. And that is a painful process. It's also incredibly insidious if you don't understand the value of it. And unfortunately, in modern society, boys are not being initiated into masculinity. So they go through it through trial by fire, which ultimately leads them to being a man. But a lot of the time we find in modern culture that we're not really even becoming men until our late 30s, early 40s, and even later in some cases. And in some cases, not at all, because you need guidance with this. You do need to do this alone, ultimately. Your responsibility is to take this on. Your responsibility is to harvest through and understand what it is for you it means to be a man. But that guidance, that support, that frame around it is integral for a man. Mentorship, particularly, other men, brotherhood, just people around you that are willing to not bullshit you, give you the truth, support you with love, but not bullshit you with love. And that really, to me, is ultimately love. And you as a man can do that internally without a question. That is your inner dialogue, it's your inner counsel. And as a man in the world, you must have a strong inner counsel. And that is why it's so integral that you must become you. And the journey to becoming you is paramount to masculinity. They go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. And so how to identify the false self you've been performing as is massive, because we wear armor in the world. It's a persona. It's a mask, whatever you want to call it. We all do it, men and women. Modern men have tended to go one of 2 ways. One is to feminize highly and sort of hide behind feminine traits, sort of adopt them and assimilate into this weird modern psyop of feminism. And that for men, for certain men, has been a strategy, a dating strategy, quite honestly. And it does work to some extent, at least on the surface. When I say work, I'm doing it like that when it works. It requires the man to be in the feminine and the woman to be in her masculine. And that you can find a lot in cosmopolitan areas for sure, as sort of a acceptance of the new regime. And ultimately, men know, particularly modern men that are sort of beta and submissive, they know that the way to get laid is to be that. And a lot of men will just stay there because they go, well, you know, and I see this all the time. I'm watching it all on, you know, if you watch Instagram reels and things like that, where you've got these women influencers sort of showing off their boyfriend in the Instagram reels. Some girls have got even their whole Instagram is about them being engaged to a guy, and all of their videos are like her showing off the man like a toy, like a pet. And he's basically doing the role of being a husband, but it's cosplay. It's not, she's in charge. She's so obviously in charge, and this is just scaled everywhere in the West for the most part, where the women are running the show in the marriage. And men will put on this feminine mask to get laid, and that is a persona. I think a lot of men are terrified to realize that that might be not their authentic self. And a lot of the time you can't even tell when it's happening anyway. It takes a sort of freak moment in your relationship to pull you out of that if you are in that. But either way, a false self is there a lot of the time. You can see it. When you're attuned to this, you can see it pretty clearly. And look, I've had false selves in my life, and I'm not saying to get rid of persona completely. You need to wear masks in the world. You're going to work, you're going to be in social situations. The difference here is that once you understand who you are, you can play dress up in a sense, whenever you need to, and that can be still authentic to you. The thing here is to know that you're doing it, and also the discrepancy between the mask and your actual self. When you become more authentic, when you identify the false self, the difference between the two narrows. So it's a bit easier to take it off at night when you get home, sort of thing, and just see it as armor into the world. You're not going to be vulnerable in the world, out there in the big, great, scary, wide world. Why would you do that? And that's where a persona is useful, but you must learn to be able to do that consciously. A lot of men are unaware that they are in a false self because they've become so identified with the false self that it feels like a real self, but it isn't. And that is a protection system that sort of overcompensates your lack of masculinity, your insecurities in the world, and therefore you live as a performance. And that can only get you so far. And women can smell that a mile off. So moving on to why purpose isn't found. It's forged through consistency and solitude. So this one, obviously, I speak about a lot. But purpose is your North Star, whatever it is. And that is why when men make women their purpose, their North Star, it's a suicide mission. I mean, making anyone else your purpose is a suicide mission, quite frankly, one individual. But making a woman it will only lead you to great, great pain. The reason why it's so dangerous is because women will go along with it initially, because they think in the initial stages of attraction that is cute and fun and it's enjoyable. And when you meet a woman, it can definitely be overwhelming. And that is why if you don't have a solid foundation, if you don't have a great purpose and you're on your mission, the woman will easily pull you into her space, her energy. And she'll like it initially because she's getting the attention. And once she realizes that she is the purpose, that's when she'll start to feel evolutionary unsafe. And that's when the tests start, and that's when she starts not being the same kind of girl as she was when you met. And it's like you're just trying to get her back to being that way, but you can't do it because you didn't reveal the truth at the beginning, which was you don't have anything going on in your life. Maybe you've got the gift of the gab, maybe you're a good-looking guy, it doesn't matter. That will only start attraction. It won't maintain it. And it will come with a lot of pain, because by that point, if you have made her your purpose, she's now has the leverage, and she won't like it that you have done that, and she will pull back, and that will make you spaz out because you've made her your purpose, and you know the truth that there is no other purpose. And so if she starts pulling away or moving, now your life is existential. Do you understand? That is why it's so crucial for you as men to find your purpose, whatever it is. I'm not here to tell you what your purpose is. I'm just telling you to fucking find one, discover it, Feel into what you enjoy, what drives you, what gets your juices flowing. It doesn't matter what it is. And it doesn't matter whether it makes you money or not either. You can always sub out money making in other ways and then do the thing that fulfills you when you're not working. You have to figure that out. It's not as easy, it's brutal, but it's doable. That's why some men, they work, they start a business, or they have work coming in, they're making money, they're taking care of business, and then they're also doing some other thing that's filling them up. And generally speaking, once you start doing something that is actually fulfilling you and you're on a mission, the money comes. The money is a circumstance. The money is a symptom of a man in purpose. Okay? The money doesn't make you happy. The thing you're doing gives you fulfillment, and that fulfillment over time creates value, which turns into monetary value, value in the world, your attraction levels, all of those things. That is the beauty of being a man. You don't have to be Brad Pitt good looking. You don't have to have a shit ton of money. You just have to be focused on creating value in the world, whatever that is for you. And that will be life-changing for any man. It is life-changing. I know it to be true. I've lived it. I know life with purpose and I know life without purpose. And the discrepancies between the two are monumental. The inner calm that comes when your actions match your values. This is huge. This is the final thing I want to talk about in today's video, but it's so important because your inner calm is what evokes everything else. The attraction, women feeling safe with you, all of that. It's about being calm when the storm is occurring. You are the sky. You're not the storm. You're the sky as the man. You're above the storm. A woman, the feminine, is the storm. Life itself is the storm, the chaos around you. You have to be the stoic in the marketplace, feeling but inner calm in the chaos of the market. And that is much more clear once you have your values aligned with your actions. So when you're living in alignment with your values on a daily basis, you can't be triggered off into that spazzy state, into that reactive state. A lot of men, our fathers particularly, were performing masculinity. They weren't living it. And that is why they were very reactive. It's why they were very yelly and, conflict all the time. It's the weaker men that are yelling the most. And that's humbling to say because I used to yell all the time. And I've had many women reflect to me that over my life. And, my interpretation of yelling was that it was a sign of strength. It was like aggression. And that was a good thing as a man. That was sort of how you're supposed to dominate, and I learned that from my father. And he didn't teach me it like, okay, son, you need to yell at women. It was just that's how he operated. And that's how a lot of our dads operated. And I believe it's because they were also cosplaying masculinity. They didn't really know what it was because their dads didn't really teach them. Their dads were coming off a Second World War and all the trauma that came with that. And I just think we've got these generations of men that didn't know what masculinity was. So they just did a version of it that they thought it would be. It was overt. But the older I get and the more I understand this, and the realization is that whatever you want as a man, you don't need to get it by yelling, by enforcing. In fact, that will make people question your leadership. You have to be able to execute it with precision, firm but grounded. And when you do that, people take you seriously. The tone of voice that you're using, if you're up here going like, "Where?" it doesn't work. And I think when I was younger, I operated like that. I also operated sort of tyrannical. I remember when I was younger, when I was a musician, and it's a very feminine space to be an artist, a creative, a musician, or whatever. And you see that with actors, and when when actors lose it on set and they're just completely going mental and they're having a full-on drama attack. And that's sort of the state of men, a lot of men in the West in the last couple of generations. Hyper emotional. And in a man, that looks and feels very scary. I mean, I remember feeling very scared of my dad being like that, but it's not good to be afraid and using fear as your angle of authority, because ultimately that you don't have respect with fear, and that's different. Now, you want respect from the people around you, for sure, but you have to earn that by performing and being a man worthy of respecting and a man worthy of being submissive to. So that inner calm is huge, and that can be done just through solitude, through understanding who you are, getting a grip of all of this. That's what all this is about. It all comes back down to, there's no need for you to argue. There's no need for you to be aggressive. There's no need for you to try to convince people with words. If people are not following you through your actions, and you use no need to freak out. You just have to be calm, stay calm. The calmer you are, the more respect you'll get. And if people don't align with you, you just have to let them go. And you have to be okay with that and understand what's going on around you and just keep going back to that calm. Ways to do that can be meditation, can help. I know some men don't like it, some men do. I suggest doing things like active meditation, which is things like swimming, running. That's great for men. Even just sitting by the fire and watching a fire, that'll take you into that space. Or just concentrating on something in front of you, or looking at a bird in a tree. That's the kind of meditation that works for men, rather than just this like spa music, and that's all very feminine. It's a feminine idea of meditation, which might work for them, but we're not meditating to like be in bliss. We're meditating to find our neutral position, like our calm again, our presence, really present in the moment. That's masculinity, his ultimate presence. Practice that and you'll become the man you are. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for today. I hope you found that one interesting. Be sure to go right now to episode 5. When you align your inner world, it's time to express it to the outer one. And that's what episode 5 is about, the 1% Instagram funnel. I'll see you in there. Peace.